The moment that drink hit my wife's dress, the whole room laughed like it was harmless fun. But I saw it in her eyes. She wasn't hurt. She was done. And I swear, after that night, the people who humiliated her didn't just regret it, their entire lives collapsed. I've never told this story in public, not because I'm ashamed of what happened, but because even now, remembering it feels like pressing on a bruise that never fully healed. But if you've ever watched someone you love get disrespected, especially in front of people who think they're better than you, then you'll understand why this story matters. So before we begin, do me one favor. If you believe karma is real, if you believe disrespect should never go unanswered, then hit like and subscribe right now, because stories like this don't just entertain you, they remind you that dignity still has power. And trust me, stay until the end, because what happened to them later wasn't just a lesson, it was a collapse. I'll start from the beginning. My wife and I weren't rich, not poor either. We lived in that quiet middle area where you work hard, pay your bills, and try to build peace in a world full of noise. I worked in property management, nothing glamorous. I handled buildings, tenants, repairs, paperwork. My wife worked in community health care. She wasn't the type who posted pictures of herself online or chased attention. She didn't need it. She had this kind of beauty that didn't beg to be seen. But the best thing about her wasn't her face, it was her calm. She could walk into chaos like it was just another Tuesday. She could hear rude words and not flinch. She could hold pain behind her smile so smoothly you'd never know she was bleeding. And the truth is, I used to think that calm meant she was soft. I was wrong. That calm was control. It was strength with no need to shout. Then came the invitation. A man named Grant, someone I had recently started working with, invited me to a formal gathering at a luxury private club in the city. He called it a networking evening, but the truth was, it was more like a performance for wealthy people. Grant told me, "Bring your wife too, it'll be nice. Everyone brings their partner." The way he said it made it sound warm, but there was something sharp underneath it, like he wanted to see us in that space, to test us. I asked my wife if she wanted to go. She looked at me for a second, then nodded slowly. "If it's important to you, I'll go." That's the kind of woman she was. She didn't chase parties. She didn't chase crowds. She followed love. That night, she wore a simple cream-colored dress, elegant, not loud. Her hair was tied back neatly, and she wore earrings so small you'd miss them unless you were really looking. When she walked out of our bedroom, I froze for a second, not because she looked rich, but because she looked unbreakable. I remember thinking, why do I feel like she's the strongest person in this house? We reached the club at around 8 p.m. Everything about it screamed money. The lights were warm and expensive. The floor looked like it had never felt dirt in its entire life. The people inside weren't just dressed well, they were dressed like they didn't even consider the possibility of being judged. That's a different kind of confidence. We walked in and I instantly felt eyes on us. Not friendly eyes, measured eyes. Eyes that looked at your shoes first, then your watch, then your smile, and made a decision about your worth before you even spoke. My wife held my arm, and I could feel her steady breathing. She wasn't nervous, she was observing. Grant spotted us and came over with a grin. He shook my hand, then looked at my wife like she was a piece of furniture I had brought along. "This must be your wife," he said. My wife smiled politely. "Nice to meet you." Grant nodded like he didn't care. Then he turned away and started introducing me to men with heavy handshakes and shiny teeth. My wife stood beside me, quiet and composed, while conversations floated around us like smoke. At first, it was harmless, just the usual jobs, investments, holidays. But slowly, the tone shifted. The women began circling like soft predators. I noticed the glances, the little whispers, the fake smiles that didn't reach the eyes. One woman, tall, dressed in red, wearing a necklace that could have paid my rent, looked my wife up and down and smiled, not warmly. More like she found something amusing. She leaned toward her friend and said loud enough for my wife to hear, "It's sweet when they bring their little charity cases." They both laughed softly. My stomach tightened. I felt heat rise up my neck. I turned toward my wife, ready to speak, but she lightly squeezed my arm. It was subtle, a message. Don't. So I forced a smile. I swallowed my pride like it was poison. That's my biggest regret, because I didn't understand then that silence isn't always maturity. Sometimes it's permission. Then it happened. We were near the drink table, champagne glasses lined up like trophies. The room buzzed with laughter. That tall woman in red, her name was Madeline, was standing with two friends. I saw her eyes drift to my wife. She said something under her breath, then stepped forward holding a glass of dark red wine. And this is the moment I'll never forget. She didn't trip. She didn't stumble. She walked straight into my wife like it was planned, then tilted her wrist just enough. The wine spilled across my wife's cream-colored dress like a wound opening. A deep stain spread down her front. A few people gasped, then laughter. Not everyone, but enough. That kind of laughter that makes your skin crawl. Madeline stepped back and blinked like she was innocent. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you." But she was smiling. My wife looked down at her dress, slowly, like she was staring at something symbolic, like she understood this wasn't about wine, it was about humiliation. I felt my hands shake. I stepped forward. "Are you serious right now?" Madeline lifted her chin. "Relax, it's just a dress." One of her friends giggled. "Maybe she shouldn't wear such light colors to a place like this." Another added, "Or maybe she shouldn't come at all." That sentence hit harder than the wine, because it wasn't about the dress anymore. It was about her existence, about her right to stand in that room. I looked around, waiting for someone, anyone, to say something. Grant avoided eye contact. Other men pretended not to hear. Some women watched like it was entertainment. That's when I realized something terrifying. People with power don't always hurt you with violence. Sometimes they hurt you with permission from the room. My wife took a breath. Then she smiled. Not a happy smile, a calm smile. The kind of smile you see right before the storm swallows the sea. She looked at Madeline and said softly, "It's okay." Madeline blinked, almost disappointed, like she expected tears. But my wife didn't cry. She didn't shout. She didn't beg for respect. She simply reached for a napkin, dabbed the stain once, then set the napkin down with perfect control. Then she turned to me, her voice low, "Let's go." I hesitated. My pride screamed. My anger begged to explode. But her eyes stopped me. There was no fear in them, only finality. So I nodded, and we walked out. Behind us, the laughter followed like echoes. In the car, I couldn't breathe normally. I gripped the steering wheel like it owed me answers. "I should have said something. I should have—" My wife cut me off gently. "You would have given them what they wanted." I stared at her. What did they want? She leaned her head against the seat and looked out the window. "To see me break," she whispered. "To see you act small, to confirm what they already believe." Then she turned toward me and her voice changed. It wasn't angry. It was cold. "They don't know what they just did." A chill ran through me. "What do you mean?" She paused, then said, almost casually, "Tomorrow their laughter will feel expensive." I didn't understand, but I believed her, because she said it like a fact. That night she didn't cry. She went into the bathroom, washed her dress carefully, then folded it like it still deserved respect. I lay in bed restless, replaying the moment again and again, and at some point I asked quietly, "How are you so calm?" She answered without looking at me, "Because I've seen worse people than them lose everything." The next morning, Madeline's name was everywhere. Not in a good way. A friend sent me a link with trembling words. "Bro, is this her?" It was an article, an investigative piece. The headline mentioned fraud, illegal funds, fake charity accounts. Madeline's family organization was being exposed, and the evidence was strong enough to make it undeniable. I sat there staring at my phone like it was burning my hand. My wife walked past, looked at the screen, and simply said, "That didn't take long." I stared at her. "What did you?"
She didn't answer. She didn't need to. That same day, my phone rang. Grant. He sounded nervous. "Hey, about last night." I said nothing. He swallowed. "I just want you to know it wasn't my fault. Those women, you know how they are." I laughed. Not from humor, from disgust. "You watched," I said. "You stood there and watched." Grant sighed. "Look, I'm sorry, but you can't blame me. I wasn't the one who spilled the drink." "No," I said. "You were worse." I hung up. Within 48 hours, it got uglier. Madeline's husband filed for separation. Sponsors cut ties. The club released a statement trying to protect its reputation, but it was too late. The internet doesn't care about fancy walls. It eats secrets for breakfast. Then her friend, the one who made the "she shouldn't come at all" comment, lost her job. She worked in a private school board. Some parents recognized her from the event. Someone leaked video footage. Her classy image was destroyed overnight. And the third woman? Her life collapsed quietly. Loans got called back. A partner withdrew investments. Even her own friends abandoned her to save themselves. It was like a chain reaction. One cruel moment, and then consequences started falling from the sky. I wish I could say I felt happy, but the truth? I felt haunted because the speed of it all didn't feel like coincidence. It felt like something was waiting, like karma had been standing behind my wife the whole time, silent, patient, and loyal. 1 week later, we returned to the same club, not because we wanted to, because they begged us. The club manager called and practically pleaded, "We'd like to apologize properly. Please come for a private conversation." My wife agreed. When we entered that club again, it felt different. The lights were the same, the floor still shined, but now they looked at us like we belonged. No, more than that, they looked at us like we could destroy them. Madeline wasn't there, but Grant was, sweating in his suit. The manager offered us seats and kept apologizing, too much, too quickly. My wife listened calmly, then asked one question. Why didn't anyone stop them? Silence. The manager looked down. "We didn't want conflict." My wife nodded slowly. Then she said something that made everyone in that room uncomfortable. "You didn't avoid conflict," she said. "You chose a victim." Grant tried to speak. "Listen, I didn't mean—" My wife held up her hand, stopping him. She turned her head slightly and looked at him like he was something she used to respect and no longer did. "Do you know what the drink was?" she asked. Grant blinked. "What?" "It wasn't wine," she said. "It was a message." She leaned forward slightly. "You all believed I was too small to deserve respect." Her voice was soft, but it landed like iron. And when people believe that, they don't just spill drinks. They spill cruelty. They spill pride. They spill hate. Nobody spoke, because there was nothing to argue with. Then she stood up and said the sentence that I think ended their pride forever. "You didn't stain my dress," she said. "You stained your futures." We walked out again, but this time there was no laughter behind us, only fear. In the car, I finally asked the question burning inside me. How did all of it happen so fast? My wife stared out the window for a long time before answering. Then she said, "Some people walk around thinking their money is armor, but it's not armor, it's just a spotlight." I nodded slowly. She continued, "The moment they showed their ugliness, the spotlight turned toward their sins." I swallowed. "But were you involved?" She turned to me and placed her hand on mine. "I didn't destroy anyone," she said. "I simply stopped protecting what they hid." That hit me like lightning because I realized something. My wife had always been quiet, not because she was weak, but because she was carrying knowledge, information, connections. She wasn't just a healthcare worker. She had previously worked with legal outreach groups, community protection projects, and local investigations. She knew how to find truth, how to document it, and how to put it in the hands of the right people. And she had walked away from that world to live a peaceful life with me. But when they disrespected her dignity, they didn't awaken her anger. They awakened her purpose. Over the next month, the last pieces fell. Madeline's family lost their leadership roles. Their charity was audited. People demanded answers. The elite circle that protected them began eating itself. I heard rumors that Madeline tried to leave the country. Then her passport was flagged. Then she was questioned. Then she disappeared from public life like she never existed. And I learned something bitter. People like that don't fear pain. They fear exposure. They fear being seen without their makeup of power. One evening, my wife and I sat on our balcony. The air was calm. The sky was soft. I looked at her and said, "I'm sorry." She tilted her head. "For what?" "For not protecting you," I admitted. "For freezing, for letting them talk." My wife held my face gently and looked into my eyes. "I didn't need you to fight," she said. "I needed you to learn." I felt my throat tighten. "Learn what?" She smiled softly, the real smile this time. "That dignity doesn't beg for a seat," she said. "It walks in and dares the world to challenge it." That was the moment I understood. The drink wasn't the biggest moment of the story. The biggest moment was her reaction. Because some people scream when hurt, some people cry. But my wife, she stayed calm and let the universe do what it was waiting to do. And karma didn't come with noise. It came with paperwork. It came with audits. It came with leaked truth. It came with consequences. So let me end with this. If you ever see someone being mocked, humiliated, laughed at, don't join in. Don't stay silent. Because you never know who you're laughing at. You never know what they're holding inside them. And you never know what kind of karma walks behind them like a shadow. Now, if this story made you feel something, anger, satisfaction, shock, then comment below. What would you have done if someone spilled a drink on your spouse? And don't forget to like and subscribe, because on this channel, we don't just tell stories, we expose pride, we serve karma, and we remind the world that disrespect always has a price. Watch the next video on my channel, because the next story is even darker and even more satisfying.